Alright guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to build out a competitive constructed mono red here. So we're going to be running the deck that Braham Thomas, I think is his name, won the Grand Prix Pittsburgh at. And he took first place June 24th. So we're going to run 23 lands, no other nonsense lands in the main board. But as far as everything else, obviously our boy Bomat Courier, we're going to rock 4 of those. Soul Scar, we're going to run 4 of those. I don't know why it doesn't show the 4th one there. I mean, I've got the wild cards for it, but whatever. We're going to run the Kenra, old Earthshaker. Yeah, so 4 of those. Kari Zev. So 2 Kari Zevs. We're going to rock on crop for these bad boys. Obviously, our main man, Goblin Chain Whirler, is, you know, inexcusably good. Like you can't not. And then we're gonna round out our curve with Hazoret. We're just gonna rock 3 of those. We will run a single Chandra, followed by our removal package and direct damage package of 4 shocks, 3 abrades, and then 4 lightning strikes. Yet another one then. I don't know why it does this. So that's our full 60 here. You know. And then as far as our sideboard's concerned, we're going to go ahead and tech in some Scavenger Grounds for some graveyard specific hate, just in case. Chandra's Defeat, he runs 2 of them. I think 3 would be fine as well, just due to the prevalence of red in the current meta. Magma Spray, an Abrade, our final Abrade. Aethersphere Harvester. We're going to run Fight with Fire. Nah, just 2 of those. Pianalar. Another Chandra. And then finally, our main man, Glorybringer, 3 of them bad boys. So when we look at what we have here, we see our curve, you know, curving out. We're looking to hit our 4-drop, which is going to be Hazoret. And honestly, with 38% of our deck being land, we can go ahead and count on plenty to curve out at 4. We shouldn't have a problem there. If we look at our non-creature, we have 12. So if we take a look at our, can I click out of this? There we go. So we got our 4 shocks, our 3 abrades, our 4 lightning strikes. And Chandra. So between these, we shouldn't have any problem establishing board dominance here. Bomat's self-explanatory. Soulscar Mage is self-explanatory. Earthshaker Kenra is one that does not universally get played in red deck wins right now. Sometimes at the 2-drop, some people will run, where is this? Burning Fist Minotaur instead. I don't like Burning Fist Minotaur over Earthshaker Kenra. Kenra's ability to eternalize and establish a non-blocker, basically kill a blocker, really just beats it out in my opinion. Some people do sideboard Harsh Mentor as well, but other than that, there's not really, there's no other 2-drop that I see running that's really, you know, worthwhile. You can run, so in red-black, Dire Fleet Captain can be ran. But really, all your other options for 2-drops are, you know, basically already in here. You've got your Kari Zevs. So some people will run 4 Kari Zev over 4 Earthshaker, and then drop that for spells. But generally, those decks will usually curve out around 5. Like they're expecting to get, you know, Hazoret out and cast a shock, and basically win the turn on turn 5. I am attempting, you know, with this one here, due to our low curve. Basically, I want to fully utilize our Bomat Couriers, probably popping them on like turn 3, turn 4, dump our hand, get new stuff, and possibly combat trick, or basically discard fucking via Bomat into freeing up Hazoret for an attacker block if necessary. Chandra adding mana at the 4-drop is really versatile because you can drop the Chandra, you can add the mana, you can play your Earthshaker, or you can drop your Kari Zev. When we go over our sideboard, Chandra's defeat, self-explanatory, we kill other red. The only red that I'm really worried about going against is red-black. I'm sorry, is mono-red. Red-black we typically run a little bit faster than, so I'm not worried about sideboarding in specifically for them. However, the Magma Spray is there as well as another Abrade and more direct damage via Fight with Fire. Fight with Fire, the only way I'd really put that in is if we run into a situation where our opponent is running some sort of generator and they're capable of going really wide against us. That ability to go wide, we need to counteract because we don't have built-in card draw other than Bomat. So if Bomat gets dealt with, we're going to use Fight with Fire to help tamp the board down and establish dominance again, stabilize out and win. P and Alar, self-explanatory. 2 bodies for 1 is really good versus control. Aether Sphere Harvester, same thing. Flying 3/5, we can use this to block with if we have some flying deck we're going against. In a mirror match, we sideboard it in to deal with Glorybringers. They declare Glorybringers as an attacker. He swings out at whatever. As that procs, we can go ahead and crew our Aether Sphere Harvester, even off of whatever they kill. It doesn't matter. And then use them to block the Glorybringer and maybe combat trick something else to get a damage off to finally kill him. Another Chandra. I'm not entirely certain what I would run this against. 2 Chandras. Her +1 ability of dealing 2 damage on a card you don't choose is pretty solid, but her +7 is much more late game, and I suppose you could use that to handle out decks that were likely to stall you, such as mid range. But I guess we'll see on there. I don't actually run Chandra in my variant of Red Deck Wins, so I'm not entirely certain what we're going to use her about. But we'll see. So we'll go ahead and roll up into this, choose our deck. You already know. See what I did there? Now we're going to drop into it. So obviously our weak matches here are heavy control. Creatureless control is going to be very bad for us. It basically renders our Abrades dead and a lot of our sideboard dead. But anything that plays creatures, we're going to have a decent time against. So, being that it's game 1, I have to be really aggressive here. I can't afford this type of mulligan, this type of draw 7. Even though we're on the play, I will always mulligan that. I mean, this tapers off even earlier, but at 4 lands, 38% on a 60 card deck, we've got a 2 out of 3 shot of not drawing into a land, so we'll go ahead and keep. And he actually mulliganed down to 4, so I'm now feeling considerably better about this. Is he just going to concede here? So keeping Chandra for a 4-drop in this hand is pretty good, actually. Being able to exile that top card and generate card advantage. So we'll go ahead and Earthshaker, or I'm sorry, Soulscar. Soulscar is one of the few creatures that, because of its ability, it doesn't have to be played turn 1 to get value out of it. You can play this thing turn 7. What are you gonna swing with that? You can play this thing turn 7 and use its ability to generate neg1 counters to get additional value out of it. Like it's basically a card that's never dead if you have a hand. So we'll choose Bomat and swing with just Earthshaker, because I can't allow him to generate a hand size since he's down on hands. Basically, I wanna maintain a card advantage on him. Heart of Kirin is dead for him here. It does nothing. Being that he's tapped out, he can't afford to swing there. So I'm going to actually do the same thing. I'm going to swing with Earthshaker Kenra, and he can choose if he wants to block it or not. So we're giving him a target that's just juicy enough that he might consider blocking. But if he does, he loses his card advantage generator. So, because we thought he wouldn't, basically it was a win-win in our situation. If he blocks with it, it tells us that he's got some card advantage generator. If he doesn't block with us, he needs this thing. So the next time he taps out and I get direct damage, we're going to pop it on him. I want him to swing with Bomat here because we will block and kill it. He's debating if I'm ballsy enough to, but no, he made the right move. So we're going to drop Chandra and deal 4 damage to Chain Whirler.
I know. I am hot, aren't now you're playing fire.
And no attack. So our focus here is because we have advantage, he no longer has a way to crew this. No, On-Crop Crusher can crew it, that's for damn sure. They always take the bait.
Feel my pain!
So because he didn't go to face here, we're comfortable swinging out with that. If he had gone to face instead, which was actually the right move, was to go to face there, because a Chandra with one token on her is nothing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and Chandra's defeat, obviously, because he's mono red. We will run 1 Aether Sphere Harvester. Magma Spray is unnecessary because of our amount of direct damage already. Fight with Fire we don't have in the deck natively, so that's fine. So let's go ahead and drop Chandra entirely. Let's drop On-Crop at the 3 drop. Chandra. 1 Abrade. And let's bring in our 2P and Alars as well. Basically, we want to go wide around him and then stabilize out. And then, if he goes really hairy, we'll bring in Glory Bringers on game 3. He must have been holding a dead hand. Like, I'm not really sure why he conceded there. In my opinion, the odds were, still 60-40. If he didn't have a way to deal with the Hazoret, that would have been one thing. So because we won game 1, I can afford to be very greedy here and take this hand, only because we won game 1. So this is a very high risk, high reward because it basically requires me drawing into land, either on this turn or on the next. But again, 38% chance on a 60 card deck. We only have 1 here, so we're probably looking at like 44-45% chance of drawing into a land. And that only goes up every time we don't get one. So this is high risk, high reward. And because we won game 1, we're going to keep here. Because if we get the land drops necessary, we're just going to steamroll them with this gas. So he goes ahead and picks up 1 card with Bomat Courier. But we're going to drop our Soul Scar and hope that he doesn't get direct damage. Basically, this type of gas will quickly get mitigated by something like a Bomat Courier hand generator. So basically a repeat of the last. Not many mono red runs Hardikiran. All right, so we're looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and Karizev, and we'll swing out the Soul Scar. May have been a greedy play here because any 3 damage spell to this means he can rack up another card on this. Just like that, actually. Alright, so functionally, because he did that, we can no longer afford to, only have 1 blocker available because we can't let him get this, easily. We can't let him rack these up. 2 cards I'm fine with, but anything past that, it's just too much. He will get 3 on a turn that he sacks it, because he should swing to declare the attacker and get the turn. What 2-mana guy you got, guy? Oh, he just takes it off the jump. That's really interesting. Huh. So we'll drop our next Karizev. And we'll actually not swing here. So he's got to land a Phoenix. So I think we're going to take the greedy route here. He can't crew Hardikiran if Kindling Phoenix isn't crew 3. So we're actually just going to shock it and then let it sit there. Yeah. And since he can't block with it, we're going to go ahead and roll out. So playing out the hand there does put pressure on, but basically it wouldn't give us a win that turn. So I want to see another thing come out before I... Okay, so Soul Scar doesn't really do anything for him there. And he's all on the table now. So now he has to tap both of these guys to crew this, which gives him 4 damage. So let's go ahead and Pia Nalar. Yeah. And we'll swing out these 2 again. Oh, pretty good, pretty good. So here's the deal. If he swings here, he's pretty much lost the game. He knows it. Okay. Bomat's really good here. So let's Bomat. So we will Earthshaker the Soul Scar. No, we will not. So let's go ahead and swing out and see what he does. So our goal is to get him to block with the Phoenix and then Goblin Chain Whirler and kill it. Do it. Yes. And just like that. And that's game. So basically, because we had that really aggressive draw that we were allowed to keep because we won the first one, getting just, you know, the 4 mana that we did put this game away. He would have to really overcome this. Like, he got the 2 cards there. He gets a Soul Scar. Functionally, he doesn't have enough to... what can you do here, guy? You can cast the top card.
Here.
If he's lucky, he gets a Lightning Strike that he can cast on Chain Whirler. Oh no, he just takes it.
That's nasty.
So what do you do?
Nobody tells me what to do.
I mean, you might as well just fucking swing out at that point, guy. So let's go ahead and Earthshaker. Yeah. We'll play it out. We'll play it out, guy. So that's a quick overview of Tier 1 versus Tier 1, you know, the thought process that goes in. Not perfect. Not perfect, but the... Do I not have the ability to... The sideboard, I really want to know what the function of Chandra is in this deck specifically. I assume it's to overcome card disadvantage via the +1, the mana as well. Like, she's really good, but I don't know what match I'd throw her up against. I suppose you could run her counter control, but because Planeswalkers come in at sorcery speed, it's very difficult to get these off, especially if your board has already been hampered, because then they can't, you can't really commit to them. You can't rely on them blowing their mana during your combat phase if they've already been countering the stuff that, you know, they would have to deal with in the combat phase. So I don't know if she's good for control, although card advantage is really good. So perhaps is it matchups, perhaps actually matchups like this one, red on red, she could work. But the fact of the matter is, like, I think she's one of the weaker cards in this, and I'm not really sure what she goes into. Again, the next 7 is really good, but it is slow. When you think about, you know, red deck wins and where they want to win at, you know, having to pop the +1 3 times without her dying, and then neg 7 it out to, you know, get 5 damage every time you cast a spell. Yeah, that puts the game on, you know, the clock of all clocks, but I'm not really sure, you know, what she provides there. I think just about any time that I would want to run this, I would probably just want to run a Glorybringer, you know, PNLR, things to go wide with, things to present, you know, more of a board state. Something like Glorybringer. Glorybringer is really just like a big brother of Lurking Chupacabra, because, you know, flying haste 4/4 and it deals 4 damage. You're able to swing boards to your advantage. So if you're down by 1, you know, you can easily become, you know, up by 1. You know, they've got 4 creatures, you've got 3. You play Glorybringer, kill one of theirs. Now you have 4 and they have 3. And they've got to deal with your flying haste 4/4 fucking dragon. Versus Chandra, I'm not really sure what the long-term impact of her being in the deck is. It is interesting that Scavenger Grounds is in his sideboard. That leads me to believe that in the format, or I'm sorry, in the league that he was playing in the Grand Prix, he expected there to be a lot of, or he expected there to be some, you know, some targets for graveyard hate. I don't really see a lot of graveyard interaction when I do competitive constructed. I usually see, you know, blue-white control, Esper control, Esper Benalia, red-black aggro, red aggro. Occasionally I'll see like Golgari counters or something like that. But the rest of the sideboard I really agree with. Chandra's Defeat is phenomenal. Magma Spray explains itself. Having 4 Braids available to you can really turn the tide against Karn decks, Artifact Affinity decks, anything of that nature. You can really fucking turn the tide with a single sideboard, with four Braids available to you. The creature control availability is really good from these 4 right here. Chandra's Defeat, Magma Spray, a Braid, Fight with Fire. So that's another 7 counter creature cards here, in addition to our 11 here for an 18 damaging spell availability. Fight with Fire as well, being able to count off, kick off and deal 10 as you choose. Really good as well. But Pianalar really explains herself. She's a 2/2. You get another body, a 1/1 flyer. You can use that to block out things. You can use that to just expand the board state and help you stabilize if you're playing against a deck that just kicks off faster than you. Which, I mean, there shouldn't be many that kick off faster than you. But if you run into a mirror match or a red-black and you just happen to get a bad draw and you're getting mana screwed or mana flooded, something like this where you can pay 2 and pump the power. Especially because you can do that as many times as you want per turn. It's just, as long as you got the mana, 2 mana, pump it by 1. You could block and kill some of the smaller vehicles like this, or you can use it to take out a blocker, sacrifice an artifact, kill a blocker. The 1/1 by itself isn't a threat; it's just going to get blocked and killed anyways. So just pay the 1, sack it, and you basically get the same thing as Earthshaker Kenra on Crasher yet again. The important thing as far as what to take out usually, anytime I'm in a mirror match or playing against a deck that also goes fast, all of these can't block guys usually get dropped first. Kenra is the only real exception here, because after I stabilize, eternalizing for 6 mana can be really, really valuable. Being able to make something that 4 toughness or 4 power or less not block is really good, especially if you have 6 mana available, because with 23 mountains, if you have 6 mana available and you're still in the game, that means you've stabilized. Otherwise anybody should have beaten you by now. The only exceptions being blue-white control, which again, this just has a hard time with anyways. Against blue-white control, running your vehicles, that's a target for their cast outs and their seal aways, running your Pianalar to get you more bodies to deal with, running your Fight with Fire, hoping that they tap out and then you just tilt 10 damage to fucking kill them. One of my favorite things, is if you get them nice and low and they tap out to do something like cast Scarab God or something like that, for the Esper control or the blue-black control, cast Scarab God or cast some indestructible guy or cast some big blocker. Well, they tap themselves out and you just Fight with Fire for the win. Now in this deck, a 3 mana creature damage spell with a 6 mana kicker, we got 23 mountains. The odds aren't really high that we're going to kick that in this, which is why it's not main boarded. I think this is a spell that if it was a 5 mana kicker would be in a very different position, because 8 mana is so much more obtainable for this type of deck than 9 is. You're so statistically unlikely to get 9 mana before turn fucking 20 that it's just not, you're not going to see this kicked. It's just not going to happen. So with that, you could easily look at 5 damage spells. Oh, did they change this? What was that? Look at this. That's nifty. I didn't know they had done that. So if we look at 5 damage, can we not search anymore? Maybe we can't. Does it just not like the numeral? Fair enough. So 4 damage to target creature for 1. Chandra's obviously, but that's just red creatures. Let's see. I think Sheevan Fire would actually even be more reliable than Fight with Fire in this, because 5 for 4 damage is much more obtainable than the all of that for 10. So let's see what else we get. Harness Lightning, I think, would actually be a good option to counteract. Like, instead of Fight with Fire, just run Harness Lightning, run Aether Hubs, or something to use energy on. Actually, these Aether Sphere Harvesters get that lifelink, keep you in against longer aggro matchups, mid-range matchups, things like that. Fire Cannon Blast, raid, deals 6 damage to target creature. Yeah, you got to cast it in the second main phase, but regardless, like it's still plenty fine. Bombard is just a flat 4 for 3. Feels like there's a little bit more options here. Actually, Hungry Flames with 3 to target creature and 2 to player or planeswalker, perhaps a little better. Sweltering Suns, 3 damage to each creature. That's not as good in this, although if you're already getting board wiped, having this in the sideboard is potentially something worthwhile. Flame Lash, Puncturing Blow, Magma Spray's Big Brother at sorcery speed, 5 damage and then exile it if it dies, that turn even. So you can block, deal something, 1 or 2 damage and then Puncturing Blow and exile it, or Puncturing Blow and then shock it or something like that. Radiant Lightning, which is really just instant speed Goblin Chain Whirler without a body, 3 to target player and then 1 to each creature. You have other options, and I feel like Fight with Fire could be replaced because you're just not getting that kickoff. 5 damage to target creature for 3, as we've seen, is ahead of the curve. Like there's no other 3 damage or 3 mana that does 5 damage, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's all about killing, a Scarab God or something like that, and just getting it off the field. But other than that, I think this list is, obviously it doesn't matter what I think this list is because it took first place at GP Pittsburgh. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. But that's that. That's a single match best of 3 competitive constructed.